In the December '96 issue of Shape magazine, I found a fabulous article about friendship. It was titled A Circle of Friends, and it described the life of Linda Torres, a Chicago paralegal who admitted feeling lonely and different because everyone she knew seemed to have people close by on whom they could rely. Her life felt empty because she didn't have family, friends, and neighbors who were an integral part of her life. Though she feels isolated, Linda ironically is hardly alone, the article stated. Right now, there are hundreds of thousands of young women in America just like her, and with our continued gravitation toward solitary activities, there are likely to be many more. Do you know that one of the most trending topics on YouTube right now is living isolated? People who've been living in complete isolation for decades are telling their stories. One man received 3.6 million views for his story on how he deals with loneliness. And you will find an ongoing list of stories from people of all walks of life and in every corner of the world talking about and sharing their confession that they have no friends. And those videos are also receiving millions of views. Living isolated is obviously a topic that people are interested in. And the reason most likely is because they can relate to feeling lonely and even having no friends. Just like Linda Torres in the magazine article that I mentioned, and I'm going to be circling back to that magazine article. There's a reason why I shared that. But I want to start with answering the question, what is a true friend? Now, I'm sure that everyone would have a different answer for that. And I was curious how my answer would differ from someone younger. So I asked my daughter to answer that question too, and I'm going to be sharing her answers as well. To me, a true friend is someone who has an interest in my well-being. You know, she'd call and check in on me now and then, maybe not every day, but she'd want to know how I was doing and what I was up to. She'd remember my birthday. She'd know what's going on in my life. She'd be like a cheerleader for me. Someone who encouraged me, someone who wanted to celebrate with me when I had good news, or even cry with me when I was feeling hurting. She would truly want the best for me, and she would show it through her words and actions. There'd be no jealousy, no envy between us. So she would have to be someone who feels very secure within herself and did not feel the need to play the envy jealousy game, because I really hate that. The Bible, James 3:16 says, "For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice." I've learned, you will never have a good relationship with someone who harbors envy or jealousy against you. And even if they try to hide it, it will come out eventually and it will cause chaos and drama. I'm pretty good at spotting that in women, the way they say things, the comments they make, the way they look up and down out of the corner of their eye at another woman. I'm pretty good at spotting that. And if you ask for Holy Spirit-led discernment, you can have that. You're able to pick up on people's true intentions. And that's one of the things I'm going to be talking about in a future video very soon. I'm going to be teaching on this book, Spirit-Led Living in an Upside Down World. That's what I mean when I mention Holy Spirit-led discernment. It's from God. It's something that you ask for and He'll give it to you. So, Holy Spirit-led discernment, that's another topic, and we'll get into that in another video. But another thing that I think is important with friendship is to be a good listener. Because when we talk and she's not listening to me, that pretty much tells me she doesn't care. So I would need someone who's a good listener. Also someone who would not dominate the conversation, make it all about her. She'd care enough about me to really listen. And she'd also have to be a good communicator. I've had friends who were not able to really express their feelings, and I would sense that there was something wrong, that they, pulling away or just clamming up. I'd sense there's something wrong, and they wouldn't tell me what it was. So I'm pretty good at pulling things out of people. So I'd just keep asking, and eventually the truth would come out. They'd let me know what's bothering them, and then it would end up being something, a complete misunderstanding. It wasn't anything I did deliberately to be rude. So someone who's not a good communicator, you're going to have a lot of, misunderstandings going on. And it would be very difficult to maintain a friendship with someone like that. Another thing I value in a friend is being reliable and dependable. She follows through. She does what she says she's going to do. She doesn't put me on the back burner when something else comes up, a better opportunity. And she doesn't change her mind about plans that we made for the sake of her convenience. It's very difficult to find a friend who values keeping her word. So many people think nothing of changing a plan and how it might affect that person that you made that plan with. I know someone who, she was planning with another mom to get their kids together for a play date, and they were going to have some mom time conversation, and she spent some time preparing for this, and her kids were looking forward to it. And then just before they were supposed to arrive, she got a phone call saying that her son had received a last-minute birthday invitation and they wouldn't be coming. So that woman taught her children that keeping their word means nothing. And parents who allow their children to not follow through and do what they said they're going to do and not honor that first invitation, they raise a generation of people who will not be capable of being dependable. So I think that's part of the problem, why it's so hard to find a friend. People aren't being taught to be dependable friends. So the last thing on my list is honesty. And this one might be the most important because honesty is the foundation of trust. And a true friend has to be trustworthy. I expect honesty in every area. When it comes to friendship, I also need to feel free to express my own honesty. And when you catch someone in a lie, it really extremely difficult to move forward with that relationship because it changes the dynamic of that relationship. From that point on, you become cautious, maybe even suspicious. You're going to start to hold back on sharing things and wanting to spend time with that person. So dishonesty, lying, I think that's one of the most destructive things that happen in a relationship. It's very difficult to redeem yourself once you've been proven a liar. Part of honesty is talking truth about people behind their backs, not bad-mouthing anyone, giving true statements about people, places, and things, and owning up to your mistakes, not making excuses and not lying about situations in order to cover your butt. So those are my ideas about what a true friend is. So now I'm going to get into what my daughter said, what she thinks a true friend is. And I'll just give you a quick photo if you need to put a face to what these thoughts are. That's Delana with her husband, Caleb. That was taken 2.5 years ago at their wedding. So she listed 9 things. I listed only 6. So, and 3 of the things she said were things I also said. So I'm going to start with the 3 things we both said. And these are the things that she added to what I had said about those things. Honesty. And within honesty, she included the word integrity, which I thought was a good word. Integrity is adherence to a moral principle and character, being honorable and upright. She included the word integrity, and she wants a friend who talks to her in the same way that they talk about her when she's not there. That was a good point. And then reliable and dependable, she also said. And she added, they keep their commitments when we make plans together. They show up when I need them. They don't make excuses for not showing up. And if they do have an excuse, it's an honest excuse. And then the third thing that she said that I also said was a good communicator. She wants a friend who can communicate tactfully and effectively. And the word tactfully I thought was really good, because did you ever meet someone who just has a way of saying things that come out sounding rude? And they're usually someone who says, "Oh, I don't know what to tell you. I'm just being honest," you know. Those are the people who aren't very tactful. They may be honest, but they're kind of being rude. So she wants a friend who can communicate tactfully and effectively. She expresses her opinions and feelings clearly so we can discuss issues like adults with no petty drama when we're trying to resolve issues. And if she can't communicate her motives and intentions and feelings in a clear, timely way, it's going to lead to assumptions on my part, she said. And just a side note, misunderstandings and false assumptions, that's one of the things that leads to a friendship ending, and that's going to be part 2 of this video, my next video. So those were the 3 things that we both said. Honesty, reliable dependability, and a good communicator. Now these are the things that Delana added that I didn't say. She said, having good intentions in wanting my friendship. A friend will not use our friendship for her own gain. She won't take advantage of my kindness or use me for the things that I can give her, Delana said. Whether it's money or acts of kindness. Some women will choose a friend in order to feel popular or to have their ego boosted and feel better about themselves, or they seek friends that they know they can always outshine. I thought that was a great point. She's talking about 2 opposite scenarios here. The friend who will seek out a friend who's popular, hoping that she can latch onto that and become popular herself, or the friend who will seek a friend who's not popular, maybe not attractive, maybe not very smart, and she wants to be friends with that person so she can always outshine her and feel good about herself and have her ego boosted. That's really sick. Number 5 is empathy, and the definition of empathy is identification with or experiencing of the same feelings, thoughts, and attitudes of another. So identifying with or experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and attitudes of another. You want to feel what they're feeling. You care about what they're feeling. Now, this was not on my list, but as soon as she said it, I wondered, how did I miss that one? She said, without empathy, it's a dead friendship from the start. I'm going to feel like they don't care about my feelings, and they don't care when I get hurt. And I will feel judged because they're not capable of offering any understanding when I'm hurting. Yeah, empathy is very important. It just pretty much lets you know that that person cares about you. Number 6 is being forgiving. That's another good one. And why that's important is pretty self-explanatory. 7 is sense of humor. That's another good one. She said she can't be overly sensitive and always offended. That's a good point. I've had friends like that, and it's really hard to tiptoe around their feelings all the time. It ends up being kind of exhausting to have a friend like that. So someone who's lighthearted, that you can have fun with. Number 8, she's already whole within herself. This was a good one. She said she's not constantly searching for something or someone to complete her. She needs to be independent, able to make decisions for herself. She can't rely too heavily on me for guidance and encouragement. That would be another friend who would drain you. And number 9, she said, this is not a must, but it does help if we are on the same level morally, politically, and spiritually. Most of my friends in high school were not on the same level in those 3 areas, and most of those friendships ended. I do believe you can have a good friend who is not in sync with you morally, politically, and spiritually if there is a mutual respect for one another's opinions and beliefs. So a mutual respect for each other's opinions and beliefs will allow you to get around that one. So I'm glad I'm asked her for input. She made some really good points there, some things that I overlooked. So now that we've established what a real friend is, we're going to tackle why is it so hard to find one. And I'll start with the reason mentioned in the magazine article, our gravitation towards solitary activities. We're living in a social system that has already been set up for us, and we have too easily fallen into this system. It has made us lazy, less willing to establish deep emotional connections with people in person, face to face. Being in someone's physical presence, it's become easy for us to feel like we don't have to be a good friend. I can text someone instead of calling them, and I'm guilty of doing this. It's just convenient. I don't have to make a conscious effort to remember a friend's birthday because I can get a notice on my phone. I don't have to write that on the calendar, make an effort to remember it. And when I receive a birthday greeting from a friend, it's most likely because they got a notice on their phone. Social media has made us lazy. We want the quick convenience of sending a text rather than investing time in a phone conversation. I remember I was trying to get to know a friend, and I decided to give her a call and chat. And she, very shortly after our discussion started, she said, I can't spend much time on here. I'm not much of a phone person. So I guess some people prefer texting to voice communicating, but I would think it'd be hard to develop a friendship that way. Our friendships have become superficial acquaintances with people that we send likes and hearts and texts and messages and comments to, but we don't get to know these people in any kind of deep emotional level because we don't talk to that person in a meaningful way. And maybe these acquaintances have become a substitute for the real friendships that we're craving deep down. God instilled in all of us this desire to have relationship with people, be part of a community. We all need to feel deeply known and appreciated. And that's why we all long for close friendships. And the best way to know and appreciate someone is to be in their presence. And the internet and our phones, it's just made it very easy for people to be reached. We don't have to be in their presence or even listen to their voice in order to communicate. We also don't have as many opportunities to meet new people or to run into the people we do know because it's become too easy to stay at home and avoid human contact. We can pick up our groceries at the Walmart without even talking to the person who's putting the groceries in the car. And we can order anything we want on Amazon and have it at our doorstep within a couple days. So fewer opportunities to interact with people, that leads to a less likely chance of building friendships. So our gravitation towards solitary activities and fostering friendships on Facebook is contributing to a lack of true friendship in our lives. So try an experiment. Remove the birthday notification on your Facebook account and then see how many of your friends send you a birthday wish. Now, I'm not saying Facebook friends can't be real friends, and that's not the title. It's not what I am suggesting in the title either. But there's no way that you could have the time to be a real friend to that many people because friendship requires a time investment. And that's reason number 2 why it's so hard to find friends is because people are, they're crushed for time. They're stressed. They're exhausted from work and the demands of life. I know someone who admits that when she gets home from work, she just wants her quiet time. She doesn't even answer the phone. So knowing this about her, it makes me feel like I'm intruding when I do reach out to her. She has every right to live that way, and I appreciate her honesty, but it's really difficult to maintain a friendship with someone who prefers to be alone. And I think there are a lot more people like this than we realize. Women have a lot of responsibilities on them today. They're parenting, they're running their kids back and forth, they're running errands, cooking, taking care of their house. It's overwhelming and it's exhausting. And then their weekends are often set aside for family time or resting and recuperating before they have to pick it all back up for the next crazy week. So the busyness of women's lives makes it very difficult to maintain close friendships. Maybe some women decide that they don't have the time to invest in a real friendship. It is true that we make time for what's important to us, But maybe for some women, their boyfriends and their husbands and their children and their grandchildren, maybe that's enough for them. And, you really can't be offended by someone who feels that way, people who prefer to be alone, or people who don't feel the need for close friendships. That is their right. So you really can't take it personally when someone feels that way. So if you are reaching out to someone and you're trying to develop a relationship and you're feeling rejected, that could be the reason why. And just know it's not you, it's them. They don't need a close friendship. So our gravitation towards solitary activities, our busy lives, our lack of time, those are two reasons why finding a real friend is so difficult. And the third reason is maybe you're not attracting a quality friend because you need to take some time to reflect on what you bring to the table in a friendship. Maybe there's something you need to work on. Maybe there's something I need to work on. It's always a good question to ask yourself. So I'm going to wrap this up quick. This video is getting to be half-hour long. I believe the biggest reason why we can't find real friends is because we don't make the effort to reach out to people. I think that's the biggest reason. I recall a time when I felt really isolated. I had been pulled out of the workplace because of health issues, and I missed socializing at work, and I didn't have a lot of friends, so I felt really isolated and alone. And I came across that magazine article that I mentioned in the introduction. It was something that had been laying around my house for 10 years. The article was published in 96, so this would have been around probably somewhere around 2007, 2008. So it was more than 10 years. More than 10 years after that article was published, I reread that article, and it inspired me. It inspired me to start a friendship group. So I reached out to 5 women. I thought about who would I want to get closer to, who has the qualities that I see in a friend that I'd want to get to know better. And I invited them over for dinner, and I asked them if they wanted to make this a monthly thing, maybe cook dinner for each other and meet at each other's homes and chat once a month. So I shared the magazine article, first thing I did. And I was really nervous. I remember feeling really nervous about these women are going to think I'm crazy. Do I really want to do this? And it took a lot of courage. I don't know why something like that would take courage. That's a compliment to say, hey, I like you. I want to get to know you better. But I was really nervous. And surprisingly, these women, they could relate. I shared the magazine article about Linda Torres, the lonely paralegal, and a couple of them said they could relate to her, feeling like her, isolated and lacking friends. So they all of them graciously accepted my invitation to start this friendship group. And that group had a good 10-year run. It lasted, surprisingly, I was not expecting it to last that long. It lasted 10 years. We really enjoyed each other's company. We had some laughs. We had a lot of fun. It broke up around the time of COVID, but even before COVID, I sensed that it was, slacking off and wasn't what it used to be. And I'm going to be talking about that in my next video, why friendships end. The Bible says that to everything there is a season, and even friendships have seasons. And there are, sometimes some good reasons why friendships end. It's not always because of, a falling out. And we're going to get into that later. I'm not going to get into that now, but the next video is going to be why do friends fall away, or some kind of title like that. So I hope this video on friendship has inspired you. Maybe it inspired you to reach out to someone who you've been thinking about. someone you might want to get to know better, I invite you to take that step and be courageous, because you might be pleasantly surprised by the outcome, as I was. The takeaway from this video is someone has to take the initiative for a friendship to blossom. Someone has to make that first move. Someone has to be the one to reach out first. So, why not let it be you? See what happens. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that if you got something out of it, you will like it forward so it can be seen more on YouTube and someone else can be blessed by the content. I'll see you in part 2 of this video next time. Have a good week.